All right, so to find the surface area of a composite figure, we have two different prisms. We have this blue prism right here. Is it a rectangular prism? The bases are rectangles. On top of that is a triangular prism, which tells us both bases are triangles. Be careful, even though it's on the side, it's still a triangular prism because every prism has two bases, exactly two bases. Using our surface area formula, perimeter of our base, I'm calling the base this one that it's sitting on. So 16 plus 16 plus 5 plus 5 is 42, times the height from base to base is 4, plus 2 times the base area, which in this case of rectangle is base times height of that rectangle. So it's times 16 times 5. Then we need to find the same formula for the triangular prism. So base perimeter, which is 10 plus 16 is 36, times the height from base to base. This is the same as this one, so 5, plus 2 times the base area, which is 1/2 times 16 times 6, using the height of the triangle. Now this is finding the rectangular prism, it's finding the entire thing. But if we had this figure, this entire thing, and put it into water, dumped it in a bathtub, not the entire rectangular prism would get wet. This rectangle right here on both figures would not get wet since that's where they're connected. So from each, I need to subtract the area of that red rectangle, which is 16 times 5. Subtract that from both. So then you can just do that in your whole calculator because we're just going to add these two. That should give you a total surface area of 444 meters squared. Okay. To do the surface of a cylinder, it's very similar to the surface area of a prism. The only difference is now our bases are now circles rather than being polygons. So the lateral surface of a cylinder is a curved surface. Remember the nets that we drew? If we had the lateral surface, it would be a rectangle. The distance, this top distance of the rectangle is actually the same as the circumference of the circle. So we're taking this distance and unfolding it. The axis of a right cylinder is perpendicular to the base. It goes from one center of a circle to the other center of a circle. In oblique center, the axes are not perpendicular, but we won't be doing anything with oblique cylinders. Okay. So our lateral surface area and surface area of a right cylinder, it's right here. So our lateral surface area is just this rectangle. 2 pi r is our circumference formula. So we're taking the circumference of the circle times the height of the cylinder. That gives us this rectangle's area. Then to find the surface area, we just need to add on the area of these two circles. So this formula is literally saying a rectangle plus 2 circles. Okay. So when we use it, we're given everything in this problem. We have we can find the radius very simply. It's half of the diameter, so it's 8. We have surface area is 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. So this part right here is our lateral area, and that's finding how much the rectangle, when it's unfolded, how much area that has. So let's fill in what we know. So we have 2 pi, the radius is 8, it's being multiplied by the height of 10. Then add on the area of the 2 circles, so 2 pi 8 squared. And it asks us to keep our answer in terms of pi. So it's a little review from last class, or last test. Multiplication is commutative, so we can say 2 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 2. We can do multiplication in any order. So we have 2 times 8 times 10, and then we can multiply it by pi. So that's 160 pi plus, order of operations tells us to do exponents first. So 8 squared is 64, multiplied then by 2 is 128 pi. Since these are like terms, we can combine them. So 160 pi's plus 128 pi's is 288 pi. Don't forget the label, it's inches squared since we're still doing area. Anytime you're not given a picture, I would go ahead and draw a picture. So we've got a cylinder, so that's like 2 circles stacked on top of each other, and then we have the edges that connect them. In order to use our formula, we need the radius and we need the height. Now this is another review from the last test. We're given the circumference in terms of pi. So that means that circumference is equal to 2 pi r, that's just our circumference formula, and we know what c is. C is 24 pi. We're going to algebra 1 it to get r all by itself. So I'm going to divide by 2 pi. Don't forget, pi is just a number, so we can manipulate it just like any other number. The pi's cancel out, and we're left with 12 is equal to r. So r is equal to 12. Now we have a height that is equal to half of the radius. So our height is 1/2 r, which is half of 12, which is 6 centimeters. Now we're ready to use our cylinder surface area formula. And don't forget, it asks to keep it in terms of pi. So our final answer should have pi in it. So surface area is equal to 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. We got 2 pi times the radius 12 times the height of 6 plus 2 pi radius squared. That's 144 pi plus 288 pi, which total surface area is 432 pi. And that's in centimeters squared. This time we're not given the height, but we are given the surface area, and it's in a decimal, so that means our answer can be in a decimal. We don't need to leave it in terms of pi. So using our formula, surface area equals 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. It's from our blue sheet. We're going to fill in what we know. So we know S, it's 198.8. That's just bringing this down. We know our radius is 2.8. We're still looking for our height. And we know the area of our bases. So we know our radius. Okay, so let's simplify before we start isolating H. So 198.8 is equal to 2 times 2.8. It's 5.6 times pi times H plus 2 times 2.8 squared. Remember, you have to do 2.8 squared first. That's 15.68 pi. We can isolate H first by subtracting 15.68 pi from both sides. At this point, you can just put in your calculator. So 198 minus 15.68 pi could be 149.54 is equal to 5.6 pi h. Remember, pi is just a number, so we can move it just like any other number. So we're going to divide by 5.6 pi, both sides. Be careful when you're putting this in the calculator. I would do the alpha y equals to get a nice pretty fraction box and do 149.54. Move to the denominator, and it's 5.6 pi. So your height is approximately 8.5 millimeters.